If you're like us, you've been excited to get your hands on Watch Dogs, and you were probably just as disappointed when you found out the game was delayed 6 months from its original release date of December 2013. Well, Watch Dogs has finally arrived, so let's take a look at the technical aspects of the game and find out if the extra 6 months Ubisoft Montreal took was worth it. One word that came to mind for us during our review was polish. Watch Dogs is a game that has been buffed and polished to a beautiful glimmering sheen, and whatever issues Ubisoft had with the game prior to the 6-month delay seems to have been ironed out, and the game's graphics truly shine. The modeling department at Ubisoft Montreal definitely had their work cut out for them, as they had to recreate the city of Chicago, and they accomplished it with amazing accuracy. We were really impressed with the amount of set dressing that went into the city. Sure, tall buildings are usually the most important part of a city like Chicago, but it's the small details like trash, trees, or the tires stacked outside a garage and any other small prop that truly brings the city to life. Even in the different buildings you can walk in, the set dressing was extremely well done. For example, in this shot we're trying to hide from the cops in the VIP area of the baseball stadium, and check out some of the great props around the room, like those styrofoam cups placed around the trash can, or that baseball cap sitting on the coat rack. Even in Aiden's hotel room, you can see some really great environment modeling, like the small soap bottles in the shower. So along with some of the nice set dressing in his bathroom, you can see some really great examples of the environment texturing, like the soap scum covered shower tiles or the grungy bathroom floor. One area we were really impressed with when it came to the texturing was the spec map. As you can see, the spec map is perfectly executed, making the tiles actually look like tiles. Getting the spec map on wet or shiny materials to look correct can be a tough thing to accomplish and is often overdone. However, in Watch Dogs, it was just right. For example, take a look at the texturing on the sidewalk and the road in this shot as the rain is coming down. The spec map is not overdone on the textures, and it creates a believable wet environment, which is probably the best we've seen in next-gen games to date. Not only that, but you can see a great example of some of the details that went into the environment texturing, like the leaves on the ground and the cracks in the sidewalk. In this shot, you can see another great example of some of the texturing that went into the game, like the brick wall and the grungy window, or some of these smaller prop details like the cardboard boxes. Now these objects are simple polygon cubes, but the texturing helps to sell the look of a dented up box. Alright, don't pay attention to that little hack. Yes, we also like to have a little fun while reviewing games. Now, in this pandemonium we just caused to the unexpected pedestrians, you can see a nice example of some of the animation that went into the game, like right here as this guy scurries off trying to get away from whatever just caused the explosion. What makes this great is the uniqueness in a lot of the NPC characters and how they react to something, and how their animations actually change to the reaction. For example, this guy is taking the sort of speed walk approach and doesn't want to look like he's too frightened, but he still wants to get out of there as quick as he can while keeping his cool. And if we cut back to this raining shot, you can see how the animations for the NPCs changes based on the situation. Right now it's pouring rain, so naturally this guy is holding his jacket close, his head is down, and his walk is sped up as he is trying to get out of the rain quickly. Or these NPCs who are hanging out under the awning. And these two remembered their umbrellas, so they're just walking at their normal pace. So along with some of the great animation for the NPCs, Aiden has got some very nice animations as well. The climbing felt very believable and looks like he's putting some real effort into it. There are also some nice subtle animations, like this shot as we take cover behind this counter. Instead of just plopping behind the counter, he takes his time and inches forward by placing his hands on the ground, making sure he is quiet. Now, while a lot of the animations were well done, we did notice a strange one, and that was in his walk cycle while he is looking at his phone, which he does pretty often. As you can see, it's extremely rigid. Looks like they're going for that cowboy type walk, but instead they got a stiff penguin waddle instead. Now, we were really impressed with the modeling of the NPCs. Of course, they're not going to be on the quality that Aiden is, but they were able to get the NPCs to a very high level, even with the amount of NPCs on the screen at once. The quality of the NPCs is probably the best we've seen for this type of open world game, and the fact that we didn't see 2 NPCs that looked the same was impressive as well. During our review, we found the lighting to be extremely well done, especially at nighttime. You can see in this shot some of the subtle lighting effects like the blue and green neon lights that flicker and reflect off the wet cement. We also really liked how you could see the cops' blue lights illuminate the environment around them, like in this shot where we have a few cops chasing from behind and can see their lights reflecting off our car and the different buildings as well. Now this isn't to say we didn't like the daytime lighting. You can see in this shot it's well done as well, but the amount of dynamic lighting really stands out at nighttime, and you can see how well it's integrated with the baked lighting. In Watch Dogs, you're going to be hacking different things pretty often in the environment, from traffic lights to transformers, and even cause explosions. What really made these things great were the effects. If we cut back to that previous shot, you can see as the explosion goes off, the smoke that plumes into the air, and all the small debris that goes flying. This really makes it convincing and powerful. Along with some of the smaller explosion effects, we were really impressed with the smoke as your car gets damaged, or you cause damage to another car. Like in this shot, you can see the smoke rising from the hood, and it looks absolutely amazing. Or in this shot, we're getting chased by the police, and you can see the smoke from the car illuminated by the cops' lights, and the water that sprays into the air as we crash into this barrier. And speaking of water, the rain effects were spot on. If we cut back to this shot, you can see the great raindrop animations as it hit the cement or as the raindrops hit the roof of this car. Combining the spot on wet texturing for the cement and the great raindrop effects, it made for some of the best rain effects we've seen in a next-gen game to date. So, as you can see from our scores, it's no surprise that we were impressed with some of the technical achievements of Watch Dogs. And if you're a 3D artist, this is a game you'll definitely want to take a look at. If you haven't already, be sure to add us on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network with the gamertag Digital-Tutors.